This body takes you from where you are right now to where you would like to be. Give it the respect it deserves. Show it compassion.
You're listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author Sarah Box. We focus on the mantra, no labels, no limits, no excuses. And now without further ado, please welcome your commanding coach with plenty of chutzpah and heart, Sarah Box.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the No Labels, No Limits podcast, a podcast that shines a light on transformative leaders who redefine possibilities. And today we are thrilled to host Caren Carnegie, an extraordinary leader who combines the art of personal training with spiritual life coaching. Now, she has a unique approach at Transform Fitness Coaching, so we'll talk a little bit about that, but she goes beyond transforming bodies but focuses on aligning souls with their authentic paths. So it's not just like making your body fit a certain way. It's like, how does that align with where you are and your own path going forward? I'm super excited to talk with her. We had a fun little chat before I hit record, and I just know you're going to love meeting Caren. So with that, let me formally welcome Caren Carnegie to the podcast. Hi, Caren.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you. That was beautiful. Couldn't have said it better myself. That was beautiful.
Well, you're so fun. So first of all, let folks know where you are.
So I am in Stratford, Ontario, Canada. We have the big festival theater. People come from all over the world to come to the theater here. It's also the home of Justin Bieber. So.
A good point of reference.
Yeah, so I just live outside, a little bit northwest of Stratford, out in the country, but that's where we do most of our living, is in Stratford, Ontario.
Nice. Beautiful part of the country.
Yes.
And as Caren was telling me, they've got a fair amount of snow. So that is good.
Yes. It's been a very wintry winter.
So Caren, I want to start by asking you to address something that we might not ever talk about directly. You know, we talk about health and fitness, we talk about wellness, and everybody's rah about it. But there are a lot of us who might feel left behind by the fitness quote unquote industry. Is that right?
That's right. And I appreciate you bringing this up. This is very important. It is my mission. It's my passion. It's why I'm here. There are plenty of personal trainers, and I refer to myself as a person-all trainer, like person-all trainer. Because when we think of fitness or we think of a personal trainer, what happens is what comes to mind is something outside of ourselves. What we think of is a gym setting. What we think of is an influencer on social media. Or what we think of, which really breaks my heart, is a body that isn't even yours. So when I decided in 2019, and I had hit my own version of rock bottom before this point, where I was really reliant on alcohol. My body was crying out for help. I was avoiding myself in every way possible. So then I decided something needs to change. So then I was guided towards maybe hiring my own personal trainer because I had injured myself. I didn't have any knowledge of the gym. It just seemed like a good bridge to get to the direction that I wanted to head in, and just taking care of myself, holding myself accountable by having a personal trainer. So that's what I did. But I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel like I fit in to, what I was hoping to achieve. I didn't even know what I wanted to achieve. And so then fast forward to just really embracing fitness and what it helped me to overcome in self-limiting beliefs. And we'll talk probably about that later on, and how fitness and strength training was parallel to my own self-healing and self-discovery. Was that when I decided, and I had that urge, I had that fire, I had that intuition, like I would like to become a personal trainer. But then I thought, why? When I don't align with like 98% of what I see out there, why the heck would I want to do that? So, and the signs aren't all obvious at first. The direction isn't obvious at first, but I said, what, this is the fire that's brewing. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this for my, if I don't help anyone. It'll help me, and so I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So I did. And then, at the beginning, I try to fit myself into what I see, place myself into a box. And then finally I realized, and it was never more freeing, that I'm not here to do more of the same. And I realized fitness has all kinds of advocacy. People know why they should. It keeps people up at night. They don't need one more personal trainer advocating for fitness. They know what fitness needs. I'm here to advocate people back to fitness, not fitness to people. There's enough advocacy for that. I'm here to advocate people to fitness, because somewhere along the way in this fast-paced, giant momentum that is the fitness industry, we've lost it. People are not seeing themselves in what's being portrayed out there. They don't know where they belong. They don't know where to start, and they don't feel welcome. I want somebody to, if somebody doesn't know where to begin, or they don't have, or they worry that, stepping into a gym setting, they're going to feel judged, or that the thought of that, and I don't blame them. I was there. I still am there. As a personal trainer, I don't like the gym setting either, which is why Transform is creating something different for people. Now, I want to create space for those people who this resonates with, where they just feel like, I don't fit in this box. I know for my body, to treat my body well, to take care and to thank my body, and for my body to get me where I want to be in this beautiful life, I should move it. I should take care of it, but I need to do so in a fashion that fits for me. And I think that, Transform isn't about changing bodies. It's not about changing anybody. It's about honoring who you are. So when people decide they want to work with me for Transform Fitness, I'm there for them. I'm there. This is a human experience. People aren't subscribing to a package. They're not getting this template of a workout based on their body composition and their goals. I am asking real questions and listening to real answers from multidimensional people with very unique stuff going on. So then I can plan their programs, and I use the word program as a personal trainer, but as a spiritual life coach, I know damn well we can't be programmed. So I use that term very carefully. I design their programs with sprinkles of aspects of them. So the things that I heard them say, and there are some personal training questions, somebody might have a goal to accomplish 5 unassisted pull-ups, and that's great. We'll get them there. But upon further discussion, when I ask them what they want more of in their life, somebody might tell me that they want more opportunities to sit on the floor and play with their grandkids. To me, that sounds like more of their goal, and not 5 pull-ups. Of course, we'll get them to those pull-ups, but I'm also keeping in mind that this person would like to get down on the floor, have the energy to play with their grandkids, get back up, get back down, get back up, get back down, for as long as possible. That's what's important. That is what gives them joy and lights them up. That's their true essence of them, not the physical part. So I'm a personal trainer who doesn't narrow in on the physical. The physical fitness part is a very small part of what I do. It's the metaphysical part as well, understanding our uniqueness, understanding our multidimensionality and the other things that people have in their life. So they're not just subscribing to an idea, it's for them. It's tailored to them and who they are. And when people agree to work with me, I'm also agreeing to work with them, because as a spiritual life coach, I do take on a bit of the heavy at the beginning, because when people reach out to me for their initial conversation, their body is crying for help. Their spirit is crying for help. There's been a disconnect. So when we agree to work together, I agree to take that on a bit at the beginning. And I know how to manage and navigate that. but I take that on. So then when I do see that, which has been happening pretty quickly, where that connection happens, I'm not just watching them perform these exercises that I've outlined for them. Of course I am. But what I'm watching and what I'm seeing, Sarah, is that moment that they connect to themselves, that they've just connected. Their mind, body, and spirit has become one. They're not just asking their body to do something over and over again. They've connected to their body. All that crazy energy up here has gone down into their body, and they've realized what they're capable of. And it's a beautiful moment. That is when I'm like, and then at that point, that's what I'm watching. And then they don't really need me much longer. It's just getting them to that point where they've connected with their body, realize that they're at one with their body, and that they're capable of doing that.
The ability to do that creates a lot of self-trust, though, so especially like you talked about the disconnect by people who feel left behind by the fitness industry, right? So to get somebody, and I'll use myself as an example, but to get somebody to go, okay, I'm confident in me. I can do this now. I own it now. I might not be the best at it, but I understand why I'm doing it. I love doing it, not because I want the 5 pull-ups, although I'd love to do 5 unassisted pull-ups. I'd love to do 1.
Great. Yeah, exactly.
but also to go, I love feeling good.
Yeah.
That for me is great. And I have a trainer, and she's used to be in the gym. She's a longtime trainer. She doesn't do anything the same anymore. And she goes, you know what? We're going to do things that benefit you. I'm going, okay. I never know what we're going to do. I haven't been going now since I broke my wrist because I can't be, I'm awkward at this way. But a lot of it, she makes me laugh. And then we're done. I'm going, we're done. And she goes, okay. And she goes, that went fast. And I says, yeah, and I'm sore. But I felt like play. It felt like play the entire time, right?
Yeah, that's how it should be. That's how it should be. It should be enjoyable. And it should have that essence of you. And because that's how things can be sustainable. I don't know what everyone's rush is now, Sarah. Like, I don't know where people are planning on going. Like, well, what's everyone's rush? Like, why do we need to be jacked in 6 weeks? Enjoy the process, because you know what? The amount that you learn along the way is it's invaluable. It's invaluable. So, slow down. Be nice. What you're asking your body to do, give it the respect and the time and patience that it deserves. Slow down, slow down. Stop cramming so much in, and people, they are, doing things to extremes. And, that works for some. It really doesn't work for others. So, listen to your body and what feels good, because if you're doing things to extremes, you're going to increase your body's stress levels, and that's going to give you the opposite of what you're hoping for. You don't want that, right? And how sustainable is that? You don't want to be doing that.
For women, because once women of a certain age, I mean, our hormones go wacky anyway, and then you stress it, and then you're in a death. It's like, okay, what is happening?
The cortisol levels up.
Yeah. So let's talk about our connection to our body and how we better acknowledge and appreciate it to get whatever quote unquote results we're really trying to get. Because I know you work a lot on the spiritual, metaphysical. I mean, you're connecting with folks. That means you're putting your own energy out there. So how can we do that? How does that help us in the fitness?
Hugely. So just, I think, realizing at first that, people, that our body sends us messages that are very different than what we're used to. And oftentimes it comes in the form of symptoms. Okay. And that's usually when I see people, when they're like, that's it, enough is enough. It's time to hire a personal trainer. And then they reach out to somebody, which is great. But I hear a lot of people that they think that their body is dumb, or they'll go, their body is sending signals or messages in the form of, pain or illness. And then they'll go to these other kind of really kind of radical trends or things, or diets to help combat what their body is telling them. But what if we kind of just strip things away a little bit and say, okay, So I had this one member and she had chronic joint pain and inflammation. Her joints would become inflamed and just seemingly sporadically. And physically, she was quite healthy. And then, diet-wise, she was quite healthy, but she had started this anti-inflammatory diet to help combat that, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But now, upon further discussion, questions, listening, really hearing what she was saying, there was some obstacles in her life that were causing a bit of anxiety when it came to work, family, things like this, where she was taking a lot on. She was really, like a lot of women, she was caring for her aging parents. She had kids at home and dealing with work stress. And her mind was creating all these scenarios that weren't even happening yet, but it was causing a lot of anxiety. And of course, when that would happen, her joints would become inflamed. So I carefully designed her workouts to build structural tolerance and to be friendly on the joints. This was very important for the first phase. So that's what we did. And then when I plan people's workouts and their programming, I'm also suggesting things outside of the gym that honor their spirit. So honor those things that we talked about in that conversation, the things that I was listening to them say. So honoring those things, but things that aren't beyond themselves. Somebody likes hiking out in nature. I'm not asking them to, go, far away and do any of that. It's just so out of reach. But I mean, a park nearby twice a week, or getting just out, even in your own backyard, just getting outside, things like that. Or anyways, things that like playful things that just honor their spirit and the things they told me. So, and how we were looking at, and she was one of my Taylor programs. So I would design the workouts, and she had a fitness background, so she would do them on her own. And we would always talk about RPE because I wanted her to tell me for every exercise on a scale of 1 to 10, what was her rate of perceived exertion. So, and that was for her exercises. And I said, listen, what if you put those RPEs on these other little things in your life that were going on? And sometimes in an exercise, when something has an RPE of a 10, so it's 10 out of 10, we can modify it to make it, to our own perception, a little bit easier for us, for where we're at right now, and then progresses. So just like fitness, we want to make it where we're at right now. So I said, what if we approach these, or what if you approach these things in your life with, like, you modified it a little bit, you kind of changed. And a lot of it came down with how she spoke to herself before these things. We would tell herself, like, oh my gosh, I'm just so anxious for that work meeting. It's going to be horrible. Lucy's going to have a meltdown about this or that or whatever. Why are we telling ourselves that? Instead say, this is going to be a really productive meeting. I'm looking forward to it. Whether you believe it or not, at first you probably won't, but still, because eventually the things that we say to ourselves, we believe, good or bad, more bad than good, unfortunately. So what if we just change? So that's what she started to do. And then she's like, all of a sudden, this thing in my life that had an RPE of a 10, it's like a 4 now. So she was the theme that I received for her. And I always receive a theme or something for every member. Everyone is different. So I can't really say, like, Sarah, when you work with me, you're going to get this, because I don't know. Everybody gets something different out of it. So the theme that I got for her was moving through life with ease. And I love that. And I knew as soon as I said it, it struck her spirit, because she repeated it back to me. She's like, move through life with ease. And then she wrote it down and she put it on her little workspace or whatever to remind her to move through life with ease, because that's what our joints do. So she was having that joint inflammation. So our joints help our bodies move with ease, because if we didn't have joints, we would be stick people, and we couldn't bend or do anything. So listening to the body and its messages that are telling us, or things that have to do with the heart. So, I had somebody and I got kind of a download for him too, that there was something to do with love or loss, and he had some heart inflammation and stuff. And sure enough, but again, it came down to loving himself, getting to that point where he could love himself. So, and just watching what transforms with these people. And it's just the fitness part is a very small part of it. I mean, we're doing strength training and getting their bodies moving and feeling better in a way that feels good for them, like twice a week. But they're doing all this other stuff outside of the gym, speaking to themselves differently and stuff. Like that's the biggest part of it. And they're doing it all. I'm just here setting the vibe. Like they're doing everything. And it's just so magical to see. Like my passion for it is it melts my heart when I see this.
Your passion is so clear. But I want to ask you what that pivotal moment was for you. Talked a little bit about how fitness and strength training kind of just went into a healing path for you and that we would talk about it. So let's talk about that, because you've given a couple of examples of how fitness has shifted for those two examples, in how they're moving through life. But let's concretely talk about you.
Mm-hmm. So it was I went through about 20 years or so of being really reliant on alcohol every day. And, my kids at their younger years, that's how they saw me. And then I realized, and I was very much, and this happened at the same time as my own spiritual awakening. I didn't know that that's what it was at the time. I know now. I didn't know then, as it happens for most people, but I had really hit rock bottom and my body was feeling so unwell. I felt very depressed, very anxious. I felt like life was happening to me, that this is what it was going to be. This is what it was going to be, and I decided I didn't want that for myself. I didn't want it for my kids. So I stopped waiting for things to change. I don't know what I was waiting for. I was waiting for my environment to change, some miraculous, thing to happen where it would change this for me. And then I realized that I was the one that had control over that I was the one that if I change, and not change who I am, but if I remember who I am, that's the thing here. This isn't about changing anybody. I forgot who I was because I avoided myself for so long, and I asked people in their initial conversations, Sarah, tell me who you are. People don't have an answer. At what point do we forget who we are? I don't know what point it is. And we come back and like at their monthly reevaluations, we come back to that and they're like, oh my gosh, then they remember who they are. And yeah, I forgot. I realized I had forgotten. So I needed to come back to that. But it was navigating through like, I'm not worthy of this. I don't have the money for a personal trainer. I don't have the time. All of that stuff then, and I'm fortunate I had a very supportive husband as well, that had to stop thinking that, because I was never going to have the time. If I don't change, if I don't create this for myself, it's never going to happen. Our environment and more of the same is going to happen, right? If you just kind of keep going like that. So I had to do something different. So I found the money, I found the time, and I did it. And I'm so glad that I did. So, and through strength training, so I was training with I just signed on with my personal trainer, and then COVID happened, and then the gyms were closed. So then it was a lot of self-learning, which was actually very beneficial, and no accident either, as we know how this goes. It was no accident that, I did that, because now when I did get my certification for personal training, everything came so naturally because I have been inhabiting my body, doing this strength training and learning about the muscles, every rep and every exercise. Again, self-learned it. And I went back to my trainer and she was really educational. We worked together for a really long time. At that time, and again, it was part of my journey, I thought I needed a personal trainer for 4 years. I don't want anybody thinking that they need a personal trainer for 4 years. Again, you have the power. If it becomes more of an accountability and a friendship thing, well, then that's different, but you don't need a person. You have the power to do it. You don't need these fancy gym equipment. Before humans evolved into what we are now, we would move rocks with our bodies. Our bodies would move in different ways. We move rocks. We weren't sitting at computers and stuff, and again, we don't need, we can move dumbbells, we can move weights, we can move heavy stuff around our house. It's just getting the guidance to know how to, do it without hurting ourselves and kind of meeting the body where it's at. But your body can do it. Don't rely on, don't go thinking you need to go beyond yourself to do all these fancy things when really you have the power in your own body to move your body and to take care of your body.
Do you remember, you might not remember because you're pretty young, but there was a phase, I know I'm going to get this wrong, in the 70s or 80s, but a lot of it was just isometrics, right? No weights, your own body. So one of my trainers says, let's do something fun. Let's just not use weights right now. We didn't use them. I was so tired, right? Because we're doing these, you have to really think about where are you positioning stuff. And I said, man, I've forgotten. She goes, it's hard. When you have a weight, you start thinking of counterbalancing. She goes, when you don't and you've got your own body, you're having to do all the work. And I said, man, that's so brilliant.
Yeah, the things that we can do with our own body, resisting against a wall.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, you don't need all this fancy stuff. You really don't.
It's fun to have, but it's not a must to have,
Yeah. It's just, I feel like it just creates one more barrier getting into people, one more thing that, people say, well, I can't do this because.
Yeah.
So fitness, and I want to really, like, the idea of fitness, when we think of fitness, to me, I made my own definition of fitness. And it is to feel sound in our body, happy in our body, in harmony in our body, mind and spirit, and in our environment as well. Because that's really important, because we know when we nourish ourselves with food and movement, it contributes to our health. That's not the only thing. What else is in your environment that's nourishing you? Your thoughts, your beliefs, the people you spend your time with, the energy around you, it all contributes to your fitness and your overall harmony in your body. That is fitness.
What has been one of the most rewarding experiences for you?
My gosh.
Yeah.
They don't stop, Sarah. They honestly don't stop. They don't stop. It's just these experiences with members when I just watch them. And I mean, my own story is mine. Yeah, that was really rewarding, but it's mine. It's watching other people now have that story that I'm not sure they would have been able to have. It's other people's time to have their story. It's not fair that everyone else is having their story. And there's people there, the ones that I represent, that has, again, many I've met, many I haven't, that haven't had their story yet. So watching them have their story, their moment, their year that they're never going to get physically, yeah, their body feels great and they're getting all these physical benefits, but they're gaining these tools that go so far beyond that, that are permanent and that are going to trickle into the rest of their lives. That right there, like if somebody tried to give me millions of dollars to take the rewarding experiences that I have had with members and what I've learned, I would never trade it. I would never trade it. It is just unmatched. It's invaluable what I see happen.
So you work with people remotely, right? I don't have to be in Ontario.
No, so I work with people remotely, so online, virtual, one-on-one training. So we have people that I'll be with them. It's like we're together at the gym, and they, again, because I design workouts with minimal equipment. We work with what you have, where you're at. I don't expect anybody to enter a gym if they're not comfortable doing that. That's something that may evolve later on, but again, I meet people where they're at. So virtually, one-on-one like this, I do train clients one-on-one at a gym in Stratford. I'm opening a little kind of fitness retreat type studio out here on the property that just is like a different, again, an environment that contributes to their overall fitness. We're surrounded by trees. You just don't get that anywhere else. And so that'll be for one-on-one training. It'll have everything that we could need or want in there. And then also through tailored programming. So I design the workouts and then people do them if they've had some if they've had some fitness experience, or like to go to a gym and take their workouts and do it times that they like. But again, even with the tailored programming, they're not subscribing to something. It's still very much a human experience with me. That's kind of like, if you're signing on to work with me, you're signing on to work with me, and I'm signing on to work with you, because, it's really, really important to have that human connection. And it's different than, what some of the stuff that people are, that are offering. So I think it's really, really important. So people feel listened to, and they feel supported, and they feel heard. It's really important that we have compassion for others, ourselves, and that we're taking into account all of the happenings in people's lives. Yeah, even as personal trainers.
You can't really isolate it. It's like, okay, I'm going to get fit. But then like you were saying earlier, maybe they're taking care of their parents and they have kids, all sorts of stuff. And then it becomes a chore. Like, I've got.
And then we start.
Oh, we avoid our chores. Like when they're like, that's like, okay, I could do the dishes instead.
Yeah. So we put these demands on our body, like, no, body, you still have to go and do this. When your body is like, hey, wait a minute. Like, I am dealing with the stress of an aging parent, and you're still asking me to do that. When would that be okay? Would we treat our kids like that? If our kids are showing up, doing everything that they're supposed to do, and we're still telling it that it's not doing good enough? We wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that to our own worst enemy, but we do it to our body, and it's not fair.
No. And but do you find people think it's weak if they don't do that? Like, well, everybody else can push through and do this exercise or these workouts, or I have to be a warrior on the workout fitness thing. Because I've heard people, it's like, no, I've got to do this. I'd have to do this. Like, I have to, not like I love doing it. I wouldn't miss it because I love it, but I have to, or I'm a failure.
But what works for somebody isn't necessarily what works for somebody else at that moment. And maybe eventually you'll get there, once you discover what your body's capable, what feels good, get you there. But I think that there is I think we're really, again, focusing on the externals. We're focusing on what other people are doing. It's in our face all the time. It's all over social media. There's trends everywhere. Again, that's another external, that we're just worried about what everyone else is doing. Well, someone else may not have an aging parent at home or a sick child. Let's just focus in on what's happening right here. Right here.
I think that's the message of the decade. It's like starting now. It's like, narrow the focus, right?
Narrow the focus and slow down.
I loved it when you said just slow down. It's like, I broke my wrist by not slowing down. It's like, okay, just a couple more minutes. My foot's not in a stable. I'll be done. And all of a sudden I heard my voice say, take your foot down now. So I did, but I caught my heel and fell. And, it's like, if I hadn't been in a rush, I would have been doing it different.
Slow down. There's no rush. There's no rush.
Well, there definitely isn't one yet, at least for the next couple of weeks, 3 weeks. So a little humility comes in there. One thing I do want to ask is, when people reach out to you, what can they expect? Say I'm brave.
The unexpected.
Well, it sounds like I'm going to get the unexpected. But what's the best way for me to reach out to you than to go, okay, at least I want to have a conversation with Caren to see if I'm ready?
And everything always starts with an initial conversation. So maybe somebody, and I don't, if you want, say, for example, you want something, but you're not really sure what yet. Regardless, everything starts with a conversation. So it's you and me sitting down virtually or in person, if you happen to be in Stratford, talking. And then that starts to kind of uncover itself. Okay, well, then maybe we will do virtually, one-on-one training, or maybe then the path kind of, it shows itself. But it all starts with an initial conversation. And through my website, there's links to reach out to me, and just automatically sends me an email whenever they feel ready. But, and it's just, and there's a level of readiness there too. But if you're feeling any fire, and you may not even know what it is, but if you're feeling a fire for change or for something different in your life, whatever it is, explore it. Explore it, whether it's with me, whether it's with personal training, fitness, a new job, whatever it is. But explore that fire that's burning. You owe it to to your spirit and your body. Somebody's talking to you, you know?
You know, folks, you don't know this, but we were chatting before I hit record, and Caren was talking about she no longer, even when she's afraid, she said yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what you just threw out to us. If there's a fire, go for it.
Yeah.
Because it's clear that you have just been enveloped and are radiating this back out at us.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I say to people, you know, I'm one person trying to create a different approach or a different way. But I won't ever stop. I won't ever let that limit me to what I can do. I know I can do big things, and I will not stop. I will not stop until my message is out there.
I love it.
Yeah.
When is your retreat going to open?
So phase one, so we're going to do it in phases, and phase one is in a space that's already here at the house. So that's going to be in the spring. We just need to put some drywall up. We've already got some equipment coming in. So that'll be spacious enough for one-on-one training, but we've got like loads of room outside for like just to get, and I'm going to create a meditation space out in the gardens for anything, because, you know, sometimes I get people that come and see me at the gym where I'm talking, and you know, maybe after their workout or before, they just need a place to sit. They need a place to unwind. And so I just want to create that. So that's going to be in the spring. And then phase two is to be determined on the time, but it's going to be a bigger building that is going to have a bigger gym space. And it's going to kind of overlook nature and, you know, have a different vibe to it. But I'm also going to open it up to a couple other like-minded individuals to maybe join. I'm going to invite them to join the Transform community by way of maybe it's osteopath or fascial stretching, or, you know, somebody in the holistic healing modality, because I feel like where the environment that we're in really fosters wellness, it fosters grounding. I feel like it would really complement some healing modalities. So I'm going to invite a couple of practitioners out to this space to work out of it as well, to offer their services. So that's the timing there is to be determined. Bigger project. The longer my husband waits, is like the project gets like bigger and bigger and bigger and evolving. But I want it to evolve with me, you know, and I believe that in life and business, and in our fitness too, our wellness journey, is that, you know, we don't want to try to catch up to what we're doing. We want it to evolve with us, rather than trying to catch up if something going too big too fast, because it can, you know, there's things that can happen there. You can get burnout and things like that, or it just becomes too much. So it's going to evolve with me, which is why we're going to do it in phases.
The beauty of doing it in phases, though, additionally to not burning out, is as you complete one phase, in my experience, the vision for the next phase is clearer.
Yeah.
Like, oh, initially I thought phase two would be like this, but I see that if it was like this, it would serve my mission and my people better. But you won't know till you get through phase one.
Exactly. So again, the circle back, what's the rush?
I think that's your logo. What is the rush? Fitness is you. What is the rush?
So this is working well right now too. So then people, you know, I can work with people, anybody that resonates with me and wants to join. It doesn't matter where you live. You know, we can work together. So there's no limitations there, which is great. And I will still always do virtual, even with the physical space here. There will always be virtual, and then, you know, like there was always going to be, I want it to be accessible. I want to take away the barriers. So, you know, if there's young moms out there, and the timing is difficult. Well, you know, there's ways around it. I want, you know, let's take away that confusion. Let's take away those limitations, so that everybody can experience.
Is reaching out though to you through your website, having a conversation, because once that's done, then you will be able to co-create together what works.
Exactly.
So, Caren, I want to leave you as we're wrapping this up. We will have all of Caren's connections in the show notes, just in case you're worried about that. don't worry about that. We've got it covered. But I want to leave you with the last words of wisdom for those of us tuning in here in 2025 that you want us to remember about fitness, wellness, and connecting to our soul.
Mm-hmm. You know, and the biggest thing is there's a quote that's standing out. It's a Rumi, he's a poet, and what you seek is also seeking you, you know, and what's getting in your way. You know, for me, I had to look in the mirror. It was me. I was the one that got in my way. So, you know, if you're feeling that fire, just listen, try to, and you don't need all the answers. You're not going to get all the answers right away, but follow that little flame in your heart to listen, and remember that your body represents the spirit, the true essence of who you are. You're not disconnected from your body. Your body isn't dumb. Your body is very smart. This is full. This is full. We give it a lot of credit. We give it a lot of power. You know, we hear the word mindful. It gets thrown out a lot. To me, the mind is full, you know, so take some of that energy into the body, into your heart, and, you know, and just trust yourself. Trust the process. You know, things don't present to us in nice little packages with clear messages on them. Oftentimes they can show up really disruptive, you know, and the body is screaming out. They can show up in injury. It can show up in illness. You know, these aren't, that doesn't mean discontinue. Maybe it's to kind of explore those messages a little bit more. But this body takes you from where you are right now to where you would like to be. Give it the respect it deserves. Show it compassion. Forgiveness is very important, not just for others, but for yourself. Grace. This isn't an all or nothing thing. I don't want fitness to be a short season for anybody. I want it to be a way of life. And it can be done in a way that is sprinkled with aspects of you that honor you, honor your spirit, honor your body, and honor your soul. Find somebody that listens to you, you know, and just enjoy the whole process and be patient, you know, and just look up, you know, at all the beautiful messages and things that we receive along the way. The journey is beautiful, even in its dark little corners.
There you heard it. No Labels, No Limits podcast guest. I think, Caren, even through your words, you can feel the genuineness, your experience, and your hope for the world, and those of us in it right now. We live in our bodies. So I, for one, want to thank you for that. I wished I would have met you years ago. I'm not sure.
Maybe we did, and maybe we did in another.
Oh, that's possible.
Yeah. Every meeting and every interaction, there's no incident. Yeah,
that's true. Okay, good. Good. Thanks for that reminder. Folks, if you found value out of this podcast interview with Caren, the conversation, do a couple things. Share it with a friend, because the more folks who understand about Caren, her philosophy, how to think about ourselves and our fitness, the more that gets spread, the more wellness is out there in our fitness and our mindsets and our soul. So share it. And of course, we would love it if you would rate and review this episode, because that helps get the word out even further. And until next week, I want to wish you all a great week. Live it with no labels, no limits, no excuses, and let's remember to love our body.
You've been listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author, change agent, and strategic business coach, Sarah Box. You can grab the show notes and find out how to work with Sarah at sarahbox.com/No Labels, No Limits podcast. We'd love this podcast to reach as many people as possible. Please remember to rate, leave a 5-star review, and share the podcast with someone you think would get value from this conversation. Till next time, keep taking those daily action steps to align your purpose to your principles and achieve your goals in business and life.